Hello fellow duelists, this is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated deck profile of my Smorg deck for May of 2022. This deck sadly did lose Bird of Sovereignty due to the ban list, but all in all I'm actually here to show you exactly how good it is even without Bird of Sovereignty. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And first I just want to also say thank you so much you guys for my new subscribers. I am almost at 200 now on the recording of this video. So me and Dolphy are going to be doing a box opening of just one mini box of Ghosts from the Past. So look forward to that. It's just going to be one box, but it's a lot of fun because I usually don't buy soap products unless it's something I want, and I actually wanted to get that to mark this special occasion. But you guys rock, and always just thank you so much for always watching my content, my videos, and just posting comments, suggestions, and stuff, and just, you know, relaxing and enjoying this very, very just fun Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Alright, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So now, first we're going to run Smorg, Lord of the Storm. If you wanted to knock this down to 2, you can, and run 3 of the Danger Thunderbird. I'm using 3 because I don't ever have a problem with it. So, Smorg, Lord of the Storm, this deck is mainly focused on getting out your high-level bird monsters, and then using your extra deck monsters to kind of like speed up the deck a little bit and give you a little bit more consistency. So what Smorg, Lord of the Storm does is, when your opponent cannot target this tribute summon card with spell, trap, or effects, and then once per turn you can activate one of the following effects. When a spell, and trap, or effect is activated, you can tribute a wind monster, then target a card on your opponent controls, shuffle it back into the deck. And then, if a winged beast monster you control is destroyed by battle while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card back to your hand, meaning that it does help being able to add those cards back to your hand to be able to use them again. And then 3 copies of probably one of the best Smorg cards in this deck, Smorg of Darkness. So what Smorg of Darkness does is, it's the same thing. When you face upon the field, is also treated as a wind attribute, though. You can also activate one of the effects of once per turn. If you tribute summon a dark or wind monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, and if it was monster was tribute summoned or by your hand. If not, and when a spell and trap effect or is activated, you can tribute a wind monster to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Alright, so then we've got 1 copy of Dark Smorg, which is totally great because it just locks your opponent out from being able to do anything, because while this card is on the field, your opponent cannot set any cards on the field. So it makes it very, very difficult to be able to set spells, traps, monsters, whatever. And it's just really, really a funny card. And then 2 copies of Danger Thunderbird. Like I said, you can run 3 if you wanted to. I'm only running 2 just because I feel like, to me, that's the best ratio. But Danger Thunderbird, if you discard a card that is not Danger Thunderbird, you can special summon this card from your hand. And it works just like all the other Thunderbirds where you get to draw, or all the other Danger cards where you do get to draw a card if you don't discard that. Okay, and then the new card that just came out of Battle of Chaos, we've got Smorg, Bird of Protection. This guy is really, 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 really good for this deck. Basically, when a face-up card on the field, while face-up on a card on the field, this card is also a win attribute, just like Smorg, Bird of Darkness. If you can only use the effect of the following effects of Smorg, Bird once per turn. During your main phase, if you normal summon or special summon a winged beast monster, you can reveal this card in your hand if you haven't, and then immediately after it resolves, normal summon a Smorg monster. If this card is normal summoned, you can send 1 Smorg monster from your deck to the graveyard. So it really speeds up the deck, because the consistency of it, by being able to put Smorg monsters in your graveyard, and also you can normal summon a Smorg monster from your hand, which can really give you field presence. I'm really glad they actually had added support onto this deck. And then 3 copies of Smorg, Bird of Calamity. Smorg, Bird of Calamity. All the Smorg monsters have the same effect, though, except for, like, as of right now, where if they're in the graveyard, if you and your opponent control, or if your opponent controls no spell and trap, you can special summon it back from the graveyard, but then just banish it when it leaves the field. So Smorg, Bird of Calamity, what this guy does is you can send a Smorg card from your deck to the graveyard, except Smorg, Bird of Calamity. So he's going to help you get those Smorg cards into the graveyard to be able to bring them back and then use them for your link plays and exceed plays. Alright, and then we've got 3 copies of Smorg, Bird of Bringing. I said boar. What is a boar too, I guess? Smorg, Bird of Bringing. So basically, when this card is normal summoned, you can add a Smorg card from your deck to your hand, except Smorg, Bird of Bringing. So this is going to let you add those Smorg cards, especially the big boss monsters. But mainly, what you're going to want to add, specifically, is going to be Smorg, Bird of Beginning. So this guy, honestly, in my opinion, is probably the best Smorg card in this deck. So he will allow you to have an additional normal summoner set when he is normal summoned. So that can open up a lot of like stuff for you in this deck, because you can You can normal summon Smorg Bird of Sovereignty, you can normal summon the Smorg Bird of Protection, and then in return you can activate its effect to be able to normal summon another Smorg monster. And then that's it for the Smorg monsters. You can see you do run pretty much every one of them, except for the one that just destroys spells and traps or sends them back, which I don't really care too much about. And then for the hand traps, we're just running 3 effect failures. This can be replaced with Ash Blossom, Infinite Imperm. This can be replaced with Gamma, whatever you have. I just used effect failure because it was the most affordable, and this is still a budget deck. So that's it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. And first we're going to have 3 copies of Elbraz, Sacred Land of the Smorg. This is going to allow you to decrease the level of your Smorg monsters, the high level ones, in your hand to make them a lot easier to summon. So all Winged Beast monsters, when Winged Beast monsters on the field will gain 300 attack and defense, and you can only use one of the effects once per turn. You can reveal a level 5 or higher Winged Beast monster in your hand this turn, and you normal summon one Winged Beast monster, one less tribute. So meaning you have another tribute available, so you can actually bring it out for 1 instead of the normal 2. And then we have 3 copies of Smorg Onslaught. This is a very, very, very powerful spell card. So what this does is you can discard a Winged Beast monster to add not 1, but 2 Smorg monsters from different attributes from your deck to your hand. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard to reveal 1 Winged Beast monster in your hand. And if you do, reduce the levels of your monsters in your hand with the name by 1 for the rest of this turn. So yeah, it really is going to works in tandem with Elbraz and with Bird of Beginning, because it basically lets you decrease the monster's level and then being able to summon it with ease and then activate its effect if they activate a spell, trap, or effect, being able to bounce back or tribute a Smorg monster to be able to negate the card. Okay, and then we're going to move on to 2 trade-ins, because you only need really 2 trade-ins. If you wanted 3, you could have 3 if you wanted to, but 2 trade-ins in here, because you discard a level 8, draw 2 cards, which pretty much everything in this deck is going to be a level 8. And then 1 Terraform to get out those that Elbraz. And then you have 1 Foolish Burial to be able to dump a Smorg into your graveyard to be able to get an extra monster. And then Harpy's Feather Duster to blow everything on your opponent's side of the field. Alright, and that's it for the spells. Let's move on to the traps. So we've got 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. This is just such a busted card for this deck. Basically, both players must set spell cards before activating them that turn. So basically this locks your opponent in from using spell cards, and if you're playing against somebody who has like a pendulum deck, then it really does crush them, because it makes it to where they can't use those pendulum summons and get those monsters out. So like with the new Dimension Force that just came out, that would really just destroy a lot of the pendulum monsters in that deck. And then we've got 3 copies of the Harpy's Featherstorm, because you know we have to have the very, very cheap Harpy's Featherstorm in here. Basically, if you have a Winged Beast monster, you activate this card, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field, or all monster effects that your opponent controls for that turn. So it completely shuts them out of basically playing. And if you have that and then Anti-Spell Fragrance on the field, they can't set anything, they can't activate effects. It pretty much just locks them in, and it just stops them. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. So first, we're going to have... Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. You can help me pronounce it if you want, and don't kill me if I butcher it too much. Hooray Vuskvir, the Desperate Doom Eagle. Doom Eagle is going to allow you, if your opponent controls no monsters in the graveyard, you can make this card double, making this card 840, 800 attack, and it's very easy to bring out. And then for the Link 4 monsters, I'm going to be running Boral Sword, Borreload, and then Bow of the Goddess. You do not have to run, you can run a combination of the 3 or even just like 2 of them, whatever, but mainly try to get Bow of the Goddess, because I believe it or not, with Bird of Protection, the new one, this is very, very easy to bring out, and this is going to help you get those negates to be able to stop your opponent from doing anything too crazy. And then we've got 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and then 1 Nightmare Cerberus. In tandem, these are all very good. If you had IP Masquerena, this would be a very, very good engine to be able to have, because then you could use those. You could use that card, IP Masquerena, to be able to, on your opponent's turn, to special summon one of these and pop a spell and trap, spin a card back to your hand, and whatever you would like to do. And then just for fun, because it's a wind deck, I'm going to put 2 Great Flies. This is going to increase your wind monster's attack by 500 points, and then when it's sent to the graveyard or a battle or destroyed, you can add a Winged Beast or add a wind monster with an attack of 1500 or less from your deck to your hand. And then just 1 Harpy Conductor to round out the Link 2s to be able to easily go and float into your Link 4 Borreload, Boar Sword, or Appaloosa. And then we have Solomon Great Almirage. This is going to help protect your monsters. You can easily get this out just by having beginning out on the field and just link monstering it into this, and this will help you protect your monsters from your opponent's artifacts. And then we have one link Karibo. The same things will help you protect your opponent from attacks. And then for the Exceed monsters, you're going to have one copy of Galaxy-Eyes Cypher Dragon and one copy of Harbinger Titanic Galaxy. These actually, ironically, can be a little bit difficult to bring out because you have to keep in mind you do have to have 2 level 8s. But with this deck, it is not a problem. There is a way for you to be able to do it if you can speed up the deck a little bit, which is why you have a lot of support that lets you normal summon an additional monster, lower their cost, and then being able to additionally normal summon a monster that turn. Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. This deck is so much fun. I love the Smorg archetype because it's such an underrated archetype, and it just completely locks your opponent out from basically playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a complete floodgate, and it's just so just busted. I love being able to use like these big bird monsters because, you know, Smorg is an old card all the way back from 2006, so just to be able to see them use again is just really cool. Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Later.